Hello and welcome. I'm Dave. Today we will start building a React Native app from scratch. I'll provide links to all resources in the video description. I'll also provide a link to join my Discord server where you can discuss React Native with fellow students, ask questions, and help each other out. Hey everyone, this React Native for Beginners educational video series is made possible by Zero to Mastery, also known as ZTM. I've been recommending ZTM on my channel for a couple of years now because ZTM has an amazing selection of in-depth, up-to-date courses. React, Next.js, Node.js, ZTM has it. Python, AI, prompt engineering, ZTM has it. Security, code interview prep, ZTM has it. When viewers ask me where they can go to learn more after completing a course on my channel, I recommend ZTM. And I always put links in my video description to ZTM courses, just like I've linked to ZTM's React Native course in the description for this video. After you complete this React Native course, ZTM's Complete React Native Developer is your next logical step. ZTM's course will reinforce the basics you learned from me and guide you through creating large-scale React Native apps that you can put in your portfolio and show confidently in a job interview. Look for the link in the video description and check out ZTM today. In Lesson 1, we set up our React Native development environment and explored an example project created with the Expo framework. Today, we will continue to use React Native and Expo to build an app from scratch. I've got VS Code open. You'll want to open yours to just an empty folder. Then you can do Control and the backtick to open up your terminal window. From there, we're going to type npx create-expo-app, and let's type a name for the app. I'm just going to call it My App and press enter. Now it'll start creating the project for us, and we'll come back when it finishes. Okay, I'm back now and the project is ready. We just installed an Expo application with the default template. Now notice we didn't have to even use the template flag. What would happen if we used a different flag would be 2 dashes and template, and for example we could use blank to actually have an empty project. But what we did was just not provide the template flag, and therefore it uses the default template. Now let's look at what that means in the documentation quickly. You can see the benefits of using the default template. It creates a new React Native project with Expo. It also includes recommended tools like the Expo command line interface, that's what CLI stands for, includes a tab navigator, so like we had on the bottom of our example project, and it uses the Expo router, so we get a basic navigation system already built in, and then it says it automatically configured to run a project on multiple platforms, which is the main reason we're probably using React Native. We want to develop for Android, iOS, and maybe even the web. Also, TypeScript is configured by default, and I want to quickly touch on this. You can use TypeScript with React Native and Expo. However, we will not be doing that. I wanted to not have a barrier for beginners to get started in this course, so I'm not using TypeScript. However, if you know TypeScript, go ahead and use it. There's nothing preventing you from doing so. Okay, back in VS Code, I do not want to type that once again, but what I do want to do is go ahead and type npx Expo start. Well, I need to be in the folder, so I need to type cd first and then my app. Now that we're in the actual folder or directory, if you will, that has the application, notice it says my app here at the end of documents, tutorials, React Native series, my app. Now I know I'm in that directory. So now I can go ahead and type npx expo start. And this will start up the application. It should give us the QR code like we were used to seeing in the previous tutorial when we set everything up. Remember, with that Expo Go application that you installed on your mobile device, you can now scan this QR code and see the project running on your mobile device. Likewise, there are some other commands as it shows here, and pressing W opens it on the web. So for now, I'm just going to press W, and that should open it up in the browser. As you see, it's building it and getting it ready. I'll pull the browser window up, and we should soon see the project in the browser here at localhost port 8081. And here is the example project once again that it built with that default template. And if you scan the QR code and launched it on your mobile device, you should now see it there as well. Here's what it looks like on mine. Okay, now back in VS Code, I'll close a terminal window. Let's go ahead and open up the directory, the folder with our project here. Now that we have that open, let's go inside the app directory And now we don't want the layout, the HTML and not found, don't delete them, but we don't want to move any of those or work with those today. What we do want to do is go inside of the tabs directory because we have that tab navigation built in already. Here is our index page. Note that it's an index.tsx, which is a TypeScript file by default. So we might want to change that since we're not going to use TypeScript. I'm just going to click on the index first. Let's go ahead and select everything with Control A, that's the select all, and just press backspace to get rid of it. That's how I usually clear out a file. We are going to add some content here, but first I want to show you an extension that I use that I didn't show you in the last video. So let's go to the extensions icon over here, and we'll start looking for an extension. I can look for what I have installed already because I already use it. I should scroll down here to ES7 Plus. React/Redux/React Native. You want to get this one, and it will help you have shortcuts essentially to create React components. And it also works with React Native. So I can put a link to this in the resources as well, but ES7 Plus React/Redux/React Native snippets, and that's the extension I'm recommending. Okay, back here, if you have that extension, now you should be able to type RNFE and see that is a shortcut for React Native functional export component. So I'll select that and we get our full component. Now I'm going to show the file tree again instead of the extensions. Now that we have that, notice I have index selected here. If you don't, just double click it once, then Control D will select the next one, Control D again will select the third one, and let's change this to app. So I'm going to say app here. I believe this was lowercase up here. So let's switch that to the lowercase app instead of the uppercase. But it wouldn't really matter either way. Either way, we have app and default app down here, and our text says app. But let's change this text and let's put coffee shop, at least for this example. Now that we've made some changes, if we left the app running down here, we need to press R to reload the app. You won't notice this if you're looking at the web page, but you should on your device if the application is still running on your mobile device. Here's what it looks like now on mine. And as I mentioned in the first lesson, I default everything to dark mode, so you're definitely not seeing much on my phone right now. Let's go back and add some CSS styles so we can actually see the words coffee shop. Okay, back in VS Code, I'm going to close that terminal window once again. At the top of our file now, we need to import style sheet. Now, after we have style sheet imported, let's go ahead and say const styles, and we'll set this equal to stylesheet.create. Now we'll have parentheses, and then we'll start an object with the curly braces. And first, let's go ahead and put in some styles for our container. And this will be an object. And here we'll have flex equals 1. And now this is going to make the containing view fill the screen. As you see that view up here, the view that we have right there. So this is where we'll apply the container style. After that, we're also going to say flex direction, and this will be column. Now, if you haven't used CSS in JavaScript before, you might be used to writing something like flex direction with a hyphen, but that is not how CSS works in JavaScript. So anywhere you would normally have a hyphen, instead you're going to have camel case, as we see here with flex direction. Now after that, we want some text styles also. So for our text above, we're going to set the color to white. Let's set the font size, camel case once again there, to 42. Font weight, and let's set this to bold. And then text align, let's go ahead and center the text. Okay, so we've typed out our styles, but we're not using the styles yet. We need to apply them up here to these different elements that we have inside of our component. So let's do that by putting the style attribute. And then inside of this style prop, I should say prop instead of attribute. I'm used to elements like HTML attributes, but here the style prop, and we'll pass in styles.container. So now all of the container styles will apply to that view. Likewise with the text, I have the style prop. We'll set this equal to styles.text. Okay, now we've applied our CSS to our component. Let's save the file. Once again, open up the terminal window and press R to reload the application. Once again, look at your device now to see the updates, and here's what mine looks like. And as you can see, we can now see the words coffee shop, but it's way at the top here. And of course, we're going to adjust that as well. Back in VS Code, I'm going to go ahead and press Control C just to stop the server for the example here for a little bit. And once again, look at my directory here where it has React Native series, and then you can see I'm in the My App directory. But notice after that, it also has lesson-2, and that's because that's what I've named this branch of the repository. Now we're going to add some images to our project, and you can download my images from the course resources link in the video description. It will take you to my GitHub repository. So just note that these images are in the branch lesson-2 when you visit that GitHub repository. So we will put the images in this assets directory inside of the app directory, as you see here. Yes, if I close this, it should, no, assets is actually beside the app directory. I wanted to make sure. So that's where you will find these in my repository as well, in the assets directory and then in the images directory. And you can see there's already several images in here that were put in here by default when we created the project. But what you're going to find are 3 additional images, as you now should see on the screen. We've got a coffee dash icon, a coffee dash splash, and an iced coffee. So I'm just going to drag these over into the assets directory. Now you'll see those extra 3 here, and I'll make sure those are in GitHub for you as well. With the new images added, I'm going to close this back up over here in the directory, and we're going to continue to stay focused here in the tabs directory on that index file. Let's go ahead and restart the project if you stopped it like I did. So that was npx expo start. It should once again pull up that QR code if you need that to relaunch your project in your phone. I'm going to go ahead and close the terminal window now and get to work because we're going to put the image or 2 here inside of our project. So at the top now, I also want to import image background, and we can see that in the list. So now we've imported image background. I'm also going to press Alt-Z just to wrap any code down to keep it from scrolling off the screen so you can't see it. I also like to give a little space between the import and the beginning of the component that I'm creating, and also the export if I'm exporting it like you see here. Okay, after that, let's add that image background to our project, and it's going to go between the view and the text. So we'll start with the image background right here, and I'll close that out. It should give me the closing tag automatically. I'll highlight and cut with Control X and paste it in underneath. So now I have the closing one. But we've got some different props to pass to image background as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we'll say the source. Well, we don't have the source yet, do we? So let's go ahead and bring that source in up above. We have another import here. So we'll import, and I'll call this iced coffee image, and I'll just abbreviate image with img. Let's say that is coming from, and now we'll have @assets/iced-coffee.png. Now notice the red squigglies here. So this is telling us something's wrong. I also didn't spell source correctly there. That helps. But this is part of TypeScript, and we're actually not going to use TypeScript, although we had been using it so far because there wasn't anything specific to it. So you didn't really notice the difference between it and React or JavaScript in general. But notice our file over here. I mentioned this before. It's index.tsx. Let's rename this. So I right-click on it and choose rename. Of course, if you're using TypeScript, don't do this, but we're going to name this index.jsx. Press enter, and now you can see the difference. We no longer have the red squigglies by the import of our image. So now I have my iced coffee image. I'll copy that and put it right in here as the source for the image background. Now, after we have the source, I'm going to set the resize mode and set this equal to cover because we want it to cover the entire screen if possible. And we'll set the style equal to styles.image. But wait, we haven't created the styles for the image yet. So let's scroll down and let's add those, and let's put them after the container. That's where I want to put those. So I'll hit image, start my object here, but we have a squiggly yet because we don't have a comma after the image object. Okay, now for the image, first of all, we'll set the width to 100%. Also set the height to 100%, just so we can cover all screens, even a web screen for now, even though in the future, we may want to use a different image if we had a huge screen compared to a small phone screen. Then we'll put in flex 1 again, like we did before. And then we'll have resize mode, and we'll set that to cover as well. And then we'll put justify content, and let's go ahead and set that center. Okay, all of those styles look good. And we have applied those to the image up here. So once again, let's reload the project by pressing R and take a look at it on our device. Here's what it looks like on my mobile device. And that's pretty good, but Coffee Shop is just a little hard to read because of the white letters and of course the milk in the coffee. So let's close the terminal here and let's add an additional style to the text styles so we can see that just a little bit better. We'll say background color, and now we'll say RGBA, and inside the parentheses, the first 3 zeros mean black, and the last one is the opacity. So we'll set it to kind of a see-through of 50%, essentially 0.5. Go ahead and put a comma after that as well. I'll save, open the terminal once again, and hit R to reload. Let's once again look at the result on your mobile device. Yes, that's much easier to read. It gave us that background color underneath the white that was still see-through, but it made that white text easier to read. And here it is back in the browser, and of course this is the widescreen view. It doesn't look that great right now with this image. We might want to look at some platform-specific changes in the future in this series, because setting the single image for the background may not be the best for all image or all device sizes. However, if we open up the dev tools like we had in the previous lesson with Control, Shift, and the letter I, now we choose to look at it with a mobile view, as I showed how to set that up in the last video as well. Let's go ahead and shrink it down to 75%. We can see it here in the iPhone 5 view. We could switch it to maybe iPhone 6. It looks pretty good. We're not seeing the tabs down here in dark mode like you would see on my phone, though. They are in light mode at this time. If I click over, this looks like it's in dark mode. Anybody worried about the warnings over here, don't worry about that for now. That's just stuff we're seeing from their example project. Nothing that we did that is on this page here. When we pull it back, we don't have anything on the page we created so far. Okay, back in VS Code once again, I'm going to close that terminal window. Now, what about the other images we added to assets? If you remember, inside this images directory, we also had a coffee icon that we could use, and we had a coffee splash. Let's talk about the splash screen first. So I'll close assets back up. We need to come down to the app.json file. One other note here, notice you may not have all of the little icons that I do in my VS Code file tree. If you want to get those, I'm just using an extension for those. Let me see if I can find it. VS Code-icons is the extension you want. There, it pulled up. So install this extension if you want to see all the little icons beside the different files like I have over there, VS Code-icons. Okay. Let's scroll back down and find that app.json file that has the Expo icon next to it. If we look at this, it's really a big object. That's kind of what JSON is. And here we have the splash property. So it's got some settings here, and it looks inside of assets, images, and splash. Well, the current splash you have probably seen. It's just kind of a white looking page with a little target in the middle. And we can change this. Let's just change it to coffee-splash, I believe is what the other file was named. And now I also want to change this setting. I think we want it to cover. And I'm going to change this white hex code here to black. So you want 6 zeros overall. Now you will not see the splash screen in the web mode. You will only see this as it loads on your phone. So here's what it looks like on mine when you press reload. So let's go ahead and first open up the terminal and press R to reload. Now I'll screen capture that and show it to you. Here is what the splash screen looked like on my phone. And then of course it goes away as soon as the app loads. So closing the terminal once again, what about the icon? Well, it's very much a similar setting. We see icon right here. We have assets, images, and I believe we just named that coffee-icon. So now we have a different icon we can use. Let's go ahead and save that. Don't worry about the TypeScript tsconfig.json file. If you have that in your project and you're using TypeScript, of course you're using it. Otherwise, you're really not. But let's just go ahead and save that, whatever it changed for now. Come back here to this app.json where we have changed the image for the icon now. So how do you see the icon right now? Of course, we haven't installed this on any device, and that's normally where you see an icon when you would launch the application. We'll go ahead and look at your mobile device, and what you want to do is shake it with the app open. That should open up the Expo menu like you see here on my device. But you can see I'm not seeing the new icon yet. I'm just seeing kind of the old blank one. So let's go ahead and open the terminal window once again. Control-C to stop everything. Instead of just reloading, I just want to restart everything, and we should definitely then see the new icon. So npx expo start, we're going to start everything back up, just rescan the QR code, and then of course when you have the app open, shake your mobile device and you should see the new icon. Here's what it looks like on my device. Notice it there in the top left by the name of the app where it says My App. Okay, back in VS Code, let's close the terminal window. We can close the app.json file. We're now inside of that index.jsx once again, and just kind of a student assignment here. Go ahead and take this explore page because we've already got that linked in the tabs at the bottom of our app, and you should go ahead and put some information in here. Delete everything that's in here and use what you've already learned in this lesson to put some information about the coffee shop. Say the store name, address, maybe the store hours. Put all of that here on the second page. And then in the next video, we'll explore the Expo router. You'll learn how to rename this page, and we'll name it contact or something like that. But we'll also learn all about how the file-based routing works in React Native with Expo. A quick shout out to my patrons. Holy Coder is a progress provider, and my junior patrons, Programming Polyglot, Isaac, Will, Ernie, Georgie, Stacy, Abe, Javier, Michael. Thank you all so very much. You're helping me reach my goals. Remember to keep striving for progress over perfection, and a little progress every day will go a very long way. Please give this video a like if it's helped you, and thank you for watching and subscribing. You're helping my channel grow. Have a great day, and let's write more code together very soon.